So I'm pretty positive that what's going to happen, somebody's going to see this title slide. Just wait. They're going to see the crossed pistols. They're going to claim that if I was any kind of an expert, I would know not to point a gun anywhere near your head. But
it's just Photoshop. Just Photoshop. We aren't even in the same frame together.
Maybe we need to put that on air mode. I'm thinking that's what we need to do. We need to put that thing in do not disturb.
And we're not taking calls.
Got it.
We got our stuff together today. Welcome to the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. We are the only local, politically conservative, liberty-minded, and live program in Kootenai County. We're also flim-flam free. We expose political power players, politicians, and influencers, including Kelly Broderick, burner account. We're your hosts, Dan and Dawna Wilson. I'm here to screen your questions and comments. Tonight, we're going to be taking your calls. That number is 208-366-4671, 208-366-4671. I will answer your call, put you on hold, and then we'll bring you into the program when we're ready for you to talk to Dan. So you just got to hang tight. If you're watching live, be sure to click the share button on whichever platform you're watching. That could be Facebook, YouTube, X, or Instagram. Going to want to follow the Idaho Sheriff account over on X. Do that on YouTube also. Too shy to call into the program tonight, you can always join in the conversation in that comment section. Any of the platforms, again, comment section. If you're listening back on our podcast, be sure to catch us live every Wednesday night instead of that playback. And a reminder, opinions expressed are ours only and not necessarily that of our affiliates, sponsors, or advertisers. And now, here's your host, Dan Wilson.
Good evening, friends. Thank you to all those who believe in liberty without compromise. A very warm, special welcome to you. If you're here in Kootenai County, thanks for joining. Love seeing you guys out and about during the week in our local community. To our friends south of the state and to the east and the west, hold the line. To all my enemies, and you know who you are, may the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your armpits. That's all I got to say about that.
That's what you got.
Now, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We had quite a show. If you missed it last week, you're going to want to go back and catch episode 22. We talked about a local business owner that was endorsed by the KCRCC, and it caused a lot of controversy. And we are going to come back and visit the Italian job of Kootenai County, or as the alternate slide went, don't blame me, or
don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, that's what it is. See, and I just completely bombed that. Don't shoot the messenger. You know.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk
title and our subtitle.
We're going to talk about that in more detail since so many of you weighed in. We're going to talk a little bit about the ICE 287G program that is not happening here in Kootenai County, and a few other things that have caught our attention this week. But you got some business to take care of first.
I probably got some business, but it came up in my Facebook memories about a month ago that back in 2016, I was doing this online challenge for a good cause, but it was a drop and give 22 push-ups. And I realized that at that time in 2016, I was able to do 22 like full plank. I don't know what the official term
they're
I don't know.
form?
It's military strict form, military style. I don't, 22 with ease, like butter. And then I got to thinking, this is kind of sad because somewhere along the way in the last 9-ish years, I just quit doing them routinely. And while I still work out, now I do my circuit training and I've modified certain things. It's like, well, those full push-ups are kind of hard. So then the modification is from the knees. So I was like, I need to challenge myself and see, I'm like, can I do one? like legit style. Can I do one? So I tried it a few weeks ago just to see what would happen. And I did 4, which really on that day was like, well, it's kind of better than, I didn't even know if I could do 1. So I thought 4 was pretty good. Fast forward a few weeks and I got up to 14. Now they don't look that pretty and they're not smooth like butter like they were in 2016, but I'm getting to it. And then today I got kind of stuck at 14. And today I passed that benchmark and did 15. Again, that 15 wasn't pretty, but I did it. And then kind of like went for 16 and then just collapsed in there. Challenge to myself.
Well, I would think that you do probably, I don't know, 10 more right now at your current state, 10 more than most of the militia guys running around that I see here. You know,
the militia average.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the guys that are the militia dudes running around in their battle rattle and their camo at all the events, and I'm pretty positive that many of them could not run a mile and a half in under 25 minutes.
I don't know. A friendly reminder to get your health in order. Get your health in order.
Be tough to kill.
Yeah.
Be hard to kill.
We have a giveaway of this premium Liberty Without Compromise snapback trucker hat. This has been going on for a little while. Last week's live episode, we called it in terms of when we're going to draw for the winner of this hat. So the time's ticking. We're going to do the drawing on the Wednesday, July 2nd episode, correct? So you'll want to enter to win this hat. So only way you can get your hands on it, it's not currently available in our online store. So you go to our website, libertywithoutcompromise.com, and there's a button right there on the home page. Click on that, and then it's going to tell you what to do. What else? What was keeping you busy today?
all sorts of things.
And you're like, don't answer that.
Yeah.
We also want to thank one of our affiliates, Midday Squares. So we're going to break away and tell you a little bit more about these. I knew this story with not even the teensiest bit of exaggeration. I was just inside preparing dinner for tonight. And then I thought, you know what though? I need a snack right now. And I don't want to blow it because I've been doing hard work in the gym and eating right. So I came outside, sit down, think about my choices, and then I got the following notification. Of course, I did what any sane person would do. I'm walking right on down to the delivery box to get my snacks. Crisis averted. So freaking good. What do you think?
Well, first of all, well done. Number 2, where did you hide all of those? I didn't know that we got that many.
Well, there's a few of them right here. The rest of them I hid. I need backup. The link is there in the comments section. Click on that. You're going to get 15% off your own box of Midday Squares. Yes, there are other flavors. It's just that the cookie dough is our favorite. And that's a way you can help support our program. It should be your favorite too. It tastes like cookie dough. That's a functional chocolate bar. I didn't probably talk about all the why it's so great, but just try it and you'll see.
Shout out to Brian. Hello, Brian. Thanks for joining us tonight. Great to see you on. You know, we've been hearing lots and lots of different stories about immigration control and enforcement and all the deportations that are taking place. People are up in arms. It's not happening fast enough. Some are saying it's not happening at all. It's happening at levels lower than under Obama and Biden.
Okay.
People are upset. Some say, look, they're taking people out too fast. People are not getting their due process. Some are saying, hey, if you're here illegally, you don't get the same due process as Americans. Wherever you happen to sit on this issue, the one thing that is very clear, Kootenai County is not apparently doing anything right now, despite the promises that we have been told for over, 10 months 10 months.
Didn't they find some guys in the Super One Athol parking lot?
Well, yeah, that was a special victim unit deal, though.
Oh.
But
deport.
We were told we got a slide here that just came out. This slide was put out by ICE, showing all around the country who is cooperating with ICE in various capacities. And if we were to zoom up to Idaho, and you guys can see Idaho, first of all, nothing's happening in Washington State. Not a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's happening in Oregon. Not a surprise. Things are not happening in California, or as BZ says, California with a K.
Oh, okay.
Idaho, we have some action in the southern half, but nothing right here up in Kootenai County, despite Sheriff Robert Norris, his continual claiming that he is fully cooperative. You know, he was quite upset last year when the Center of Immigration Studies published a report that came from ICE saying that ICE was not receiving any cooperation from Kootenai County. Now, that was revised. That was an error. However, during a Live X event last August, Bob Norris, Sheriff of Kootenai County, who was up for re-election at that time, I was in the heavy part of the race between him and I. You know, he promised that he was going to join ICE 287G. And today, months and months later, he still has not done anything that he said he was going to do. So I think that is for my friends here, right here in Kootenai County. You need to keep the pressure up. This was a campaign promise. This is something that he stated statewide, and we see absolutely zero action from him. You guys should ask him, hey, are you hiding from all your lawsuits? Is that why you can't participate in these ICE 287G programs? Or are you really not against illegal immigration? What exactly is the story? But remember, the best indicator of somebody's future performance is based upon his past performance.
You would expect that map that you just showed us to be littered with those. I don't know if it was green dots, blue dots, the way Florida is, and yet it's completely empty.
Yeah.
And people want to think this is the last freest county in all of the United States. But the other thing that Bob Norris and Bruce Matari will often tout is transparency and accountability. My question is, who is holding them accountable? If somebody were, what would the forum be for being able to address either of those guys in the capacity as it relates to the sheriff's office on a question like that? And actually, I mean, what would the forum for that be? The last one they held, I mean, they're pretty tight in their security now, holding them.
They're only holding these events in churches where they can control everything.
Yeah.
Number one, they're going to control who can or can't come out. My understanding is that they're even going so far as to prepare any kind of protest whatsoever with "you're going to be arrested."
Yeah, been real heavy handed on that is what we heard. And then I know the format even prior to them kind of more going on lockdown mode is always that questions are submitted, which I'm not opposed to this because people ramble with their questions. And it's like, well, where in that 5-minute statement you just made is your question? So I understand why there has to be some vetting of those questions and putting them on cards. But you also have to trust that the people who that they're fairly going through those and asking them from both sides.
So they just announced they're going to have another town hall. Now, this town hall, for those of you who are not following, right here in Kootenai County, this county is solidly red. 26% is independent, 10% approximately registered voters are Democrat. The vast majority is Republican. This is a Republican stronghold. Despite all of that, there is a lot of, I guess, pushback when it comes to how red are we truly. And I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I don't know why, because I think that buzz just threw me.
Yeah, hopefully we're the only ones that can hear that. I want to remind you, if you're just joining us in the program, you can call in tonight. The number is 208-366-4671. And that number's right there in the ticker at the bottom of your screen. Also, for anybody who's just joined us, remember that you can chime in right there in the comment section if a phone call's not your jam. And then also, we're watching this live together. So right now, as you have a chance, be sure to share this feed to your page or timeline.
Back on track. So you know that the majority of everybody here is going to lean towards Republican. If you put a Republican stamp, they're going to buy off on it. Well, they're having these events now totally controlled where all the state reps are Republicans. They are all endorsed by the KCRCC, that is the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, or as Marcus Nartilius calls them online, the KFC for short.
Right.
Finger looking good. They are holding these town halls after the infamous February event. Now, these state reps, they're Republican, but last I checked, according to the Idaho State Constitution, these representatives represent all people. But they seem to be greatly adverse to go into any kind of a lion's den. They apparently do not want to be confronted by people that are angry and upset. And rather than giving them a time to respond to people's anger, because they are angry for obvious reasons, they choose to double down. They're not going to allow any dissent. They're going to continue to promote the messages they want. I mean, I think that Teresa Bornpole, one of the things that she was shouting about was that Representative or Senator Phil Hart stole timber that he never apparently paid back. And I've researched this, and I can't find any indication that after he was found guilty of taking timber from the state that was not his, that he paid it back. Now, if you happen to know differently, I would love to hear this, but apparently the reps don't want to be called on the carpet. They don't want to be called on the carpet even by Republicans that don't agree with them. So they're holding these events at churches, and they're coming out. We saw one of the previews where they're very heavy-handed at the beginning. You're here as a guest. Anything that you do that's at all that we deem disruptive, you're going to be removed. And I think
setting
it's wrong.
the tone.
I mean, look, I don't mind rules. Don't mind rules. We have to operate by rules. But when you look at the way that they're rolling this out, you're just doing nothing than alienate your own community.
Well, and the tone definitely changed. If you had attended a town hall prior to the Bornpole incident versus post, and the tone in which they're presenting that has definitely changed. It was a reactionary one. I was telling you earlier today, maybe it was yesterday, I don't recall ever living in a county or a state where politics was so mixed up in religion, or in this case in Kootenai County with some of the Christian churches. I just don't ever recall that. It's not that maybe on certain times of the year the church handed out or had available voter guides, but in terms of hosting events or hosting the sheriff, which really should be a nonpartisan position, but how intertwined that is with the churches and pastors here in Kootenai County is just mind-blowing to me, that we're fracturing that whole part of the community that doesn't align with that worldview. And yet these are still their elected officials.
Well, look, precedent. We go back to the founders. They were all religious men. They were believers in a higher power. They often held church services in the Capitol or in other government buildings. Go to the Supreme Court, go to DC. There is nothing but biblical context in the entirety of DC. So America is not anti-religion. But here is the problem is religion, faith in Jesus or whatever your faith happens to be. The culture war right now has been lost. I say this every episode. The culture war is lost. We are a post-Christian nation. So the government can't prevent even elected officials holding prayer meetings. They can't prevent, they just can't force it, right? But the problem is that these churches are so damn hypocritical. One of the worst things churches, when you became impotent, and I'm going to say that the majority of you churches are impotent, and the reason I say that, go back to the study that we looked at last week. We pulled up a quick survey from the Census Bureau on church stats in Kootenai County. 89 Christian churches, average 105,000 attendance in a county of 180,000. Last I checked, yeah, we're a moral place here compared to Spokane or Seattle, but we still have a lot of problems. The churches are impotent. And why are they impotent? Well, not only have they put in sissies for pastors and bought off on things that are other than what is actually in the Bible, neutering men and coming up with all of your legalism and crap. You guys also then, churches, decided to take that 501c3 status years ago. And so the churches now are kind of, they don't really understand where they can or can't maneuver. Because if you listen to them and talk to them, churches, when they take that tax exempt, which my understanding is the pastors aren't taxed on their income. I don't think they pay certain federal taxes on income, like if the church makes money. But part of the trade-off is that they can't endorse anybody. They have to remain neutral.
Right, and I think housing allowances as well. I mean, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, and a lot of it, it's a scam. And I think there's a new documentary coming out called The Scam of Religion, or I've got the name wrong. But I've said that the culture is what it is today because of the failure of the church. It's not the failure of the government. The government is a reflection of the church and the culture. But they chose their tax exempt status. If they weren't tax exempt, you can say whatever you want. They can't prohibit you if you're if you're not tax exempt. They can't prohibit you from saying what you believe as a body, as a congregation, as your faith. Those things that people should be voting on and being involved with. So, I don't necessarily have a problem with events being held in churches, but right now it's kind of a conglomeration, which is these local churches, church bodies, and those that are part of the KCRCC and the legislature. Seems to me that they are heading towards this path where they're going to make people converts. They're going to make people adhere to their beliefs and their religion, whether they like it or not. They are going to cram down morality. Mm-hmm. And that's not the way it's done. If you want morality to be a Christian model, then the churches have to get back and find their first mission.
Yeah, you probably don't do that through legislation and do that.
But they're creating a divide right now. Mm-hmm. Some of the most unchristian behavior I have observed comes from many of you inside this Republican camp. Some of the most heinous, vile things that I have heard said come from those who claim Christ. Mm-hmm. They just do. They're some of the nastiest, dirtiest, meanest people, in fact, on the campaign trail last year. Those of you who are just tuning in have not ever heard of Dan Wilson. I ran for sheriff against incumbent Republican Sheriff Robert Bob Norris last year. As a Republican, switched to an independent. We're going to talk more about that tonight. But some of the worst people were the power player pastors. 2 pastors. 2 of them lied. You can check that out on our podcast, episodes 1 through 9 of the Power Player Pastor series. They are audio only. And then those that are inside their circle. Mm-hmm. So the people that were the absolute ruthless that spread the worst lies and rumors came from people from these big churches. And they're big churches that have the big Israeli flags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was bad. But the other side to that is these same local leaders also did everything they could to basically stonewall so that you could not meet with them, so that they could just claim that they heard things about you, but didn't really know firsthand what your policies were. So everything from Brent Regan and setting the tone for leadership from KCRCC, who's supposed to be rating and vetting, to those local, I don't know what you call them, elite pastors in a couple of the largest, most renowned churches in Kootenai County. And none of these people made strides to so much as sit down with you. You made an attempt, and then it went downhill from there.
Sarah's got a question. What happened to separation of church and state? Well, once again, there is no such language in the United States Constitution. That was merely Thomas Jefferson that was writing to reassure that there was not going to be any state endorsed church. He talked about a wall, a separation of church and state that has erroneously for many decades had been attributed to the First Amendment. And that's simply not true. Congress shall make no laws establishing religion nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So once again, it's great to, if you are government and you want to exercise your faith, go for it. You just can't force people, like Jordan Redmond, Representative Jordan Redmond, introducing a bill. I don't think it ever made it out of committee, that was going to require the Bible to be read every single day. And, look, I think that's a great idea. But the problem is that when you have the ability to force any faith on the rest through compulsory attendance and reading, then what you're looking at is, well, what version of the Bible? King James only, ESV, NIV, the Living Bible, the Mormon Bible, the Catholic Bible. Where does it stop? Where does it start? Where does it stop? So anyway, that's kind of enough on that little rant, but I think it's good to keep coming back to the fact that the reason that we are where we are right now is not a failure of government so much as it is a failure of the church, a church to turn out. As the founder said, this Constitution is for a moral and righteous people only, because people that adhere to, there's a higher power that created them and sets the rules in place and the absolutes, and that we have to follow that. Well, you're going to find that a lot of people that truly believe that have the ability to self-govern. My liberty ends where my liberty infringes on your liberty. That kind of mindset. Love your neighbor as you would like to be treated. I'm mixing a bunch of different verses in there on purpose, but no, that's where we are. And here on Liberty Without Compromise, it is a continuation of my failed sheriff's race. But as we say week after week, the message has not changed. We preach liberty without compromise. As found by the founders when they first talked about this, quoting John Locke and Montesquieu and Plato, all of the great philosophers. Every man is created equal in worth as a human being, and every man and woman, I'm going to say that right, woman has the right to life, liberty, and property. So that's what we're about. Now, before we get on to revisiting and talking about the Italian job, do you want to point out that the volunteer helicopter program, that debacle, that failed program that Bob Norris and Lieutenant Mark Ellis brought to Kootenai County 2 years ago, you guys want to read more about all the different problems, and they are many. You could probably, Taylor Sheridan, is that the guy that writes Yellowstone and Landman and all those?
Oh. I don't know.
He could write a story just on the helicopter and make a couple miniseries out of it. But
a great idea.
We are going to bring an update right now, and that helicopter still has not flown any mission since September, despite the fact that we were under contract with it, paid $10,000. It has $100,000 of civil asset forfeiture money that they use to put a spotlight on it and some forward-looking infrared, some other gear. So how many of you are keeping the pressure on Leslie Duncan and Mark Eberlander, county commissioners, to see if they're going to go ahead and enter into another agreement for this failed helicopter experiment? I've been told two reasons why it's not flying. One is liability insurance. They haven't worked that out yet. We brought this up last summer. Number two is it's very expensive to maintain, and they just have not gotten the donations that they thought that they were going to.
We have a lot of friends who monitor the air traffic that comes out, a little bit of a sideline that comes in and out of that Hayden airport. And so over the holiday weekend, there was a lot of traffic, including another helicopter. It was a charter. But that's really a lot of increased air traffic in there coming in and out of that, which shows the amount of growth and development that we're having here in Kootenai County. That'd probably be one of the sheriff's arguments for we need a helicopter.
The helicopter that we currently have does not have any hoist capability.
It's
So
not that you're
can't rescue.
anti-helicopter or that the county shouldn't have access to one. It's the way that this was done was all,
It was
all wrong.
in my opinion, you're not going to convince me until you produce evidence otherwise. My year and a half of research, it's pay to play. It was a bunch of backroom deals to scratch a bunch of people's nuts on the whole deal and allow them the ability to play with their helicopter and look cool and tactical. But if you notice, it's not even being mentioned anymore in the Kootenai County Sheriff Office
We're just not
days.
talking about that.
Yeah.
Andy from Facebook wanted to know what the helicopter was supposed to be used for anyway.
Well, the argument is primarily search and rescue. Prior to that, we were using for $10,000 the far superior Spokane County Sheriff's Office air unit.
I noticed
They have multiple helicopters with hoist capability.
when it was still in flight, I noticed it was a lot of wow factor type moments. So it was flying and then landing at community events, and they were letting kids come in and out of it to give them that connection to law enforcement and the sheriff's office. So it seemed like most of the time the use was more community oriented and showing off than it was any kind of
It definitely was
practical.
not delivered what they promised during the mini Board of County Commissioner meetings. Again, if you go to the idahosheriff.com and type in helicopter, you'll come to the page that shows all the resources and the video, so you can hear Bob Norris, Lieutenant Mark Ellis in their own words.
Is it worth it in the town hall that is scheduled and coming up? Is it worth it for somebody to ask, what's going on with the helicopter? We were presented this, this amount of money was put toward it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, I think
Is it worth-
that question should be asked publicly. Whether they answer it or not is another. I have sent 2 letters to County Commissioner Eberline and Duncan, and crickets. They haven't even bothered to respond. So most people that are reasonable and are paying attention know the helicopter needs to be dead on arrival. We need to go back with a MOU with Spokane County, who has a far superior, robust air unit. We can use theirs. They're only about another 5 minutes flight to the east from where we currently are. So airtime, it's nothing big. They have hoist capabilities. It's just a general better
Was there
program.
any kind of case study where was Kootenai County ever denied use of a helicopter in a time of need?
Well,
I mean, what was that based on?
It depends, because Mark Ellis and Bob went before the Board of County Commissioners and they say one thing, right? They can tell you how many deployments that they were claiming that they had in X amount of years. When we requested those records officially, how many times did Kootenai County request during these years air support from Spokane County and Two Bear Air out of Kalispell? They claim no records exist.
Oh, okay.
So they're liars one way or another. They're either liars. When
transparency.
they're
and
either
accountability.
And I've documented this and shown my proof numerous times over the past several months, so we don't need to beat it up. But yeah, Andy, yes, we can use a drone for a lot of what they're currently using the helicopter for. It's not, drones aren't the absolute for all situations, but yeah, we have so many drones. We were just given another drone last fall, so they need to start using the resources that we have a lot more wisely.
Most definitely.
So last week we had quite the controversial program.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a slide to remind us of what that was. Yeah, corruption defenders disguising loyalty as virtue while propping up the rotten.
Yeah.
That was our topic of last week. That's still available for a couple more weeks, available for replay on Facebook, but you can view that until all eternity over on our YouTube channel, The Idaho Sheriff. So you'll want to make sure to subscribe to the Idaho Sheriff channel there, because all of those live streams are archived, whereas Facebook has a new policy. They're wiping them out after 30 days. So last week, some controversy when we aired that broadcast.
Yeah, so a little trip down memory lane. Last week, we decided to break down a video, a long format video that I had obtained through legal sources, i.e. Public records requests, based on a report from the Coeur d'Alene Police that I received. Now, when I posted this on X I was accused of playing the video out of context, trying to frame the guy in question. So we made the decision that we were going to go through the entire 13-minute video to let people that were questioning my integrity the chance to see it in its entirety. Well, what was this video? A little history going back. We have discussed many times, especially my argument that the KCRCC should not have a vetting process or a candidate endorsement, especially during the primary, because the KCRCC, in essence, because of the powerhouse and the dollars that they have behind them, they can pick and choose who they want to be their representatives.
So most especially shouldn't have that rating and vetting process or endorse candidates in the primary. But I mean, it's even up for debate whether they should be doing it at all.
Yeah. I was online prior to the May 20 election that was just last week. And I was having a public kind of debate back and forth with a good guy, Jeff Ty, who's part of the KCRCC. He was a former PC, and he still holds a position. I believe he's also on the road committee, Lakes Road District. But basically, Jeff was trying to say, look, everybody wants to crap on the KCRCC, and we're the last ones that are holding the line for freedom. And if we don't be careful, we're going to lose it. Everybody is attacking the KCRCC. We're just these poor people trying to hold a conservative majority here.
A small group of volunteers.
Yeah, we're just, doing our best. And, while it's not perfect, it's still better than nothing. And, we're the only ones that can keep championing true non-Rhino Republicans. Now, when Rhino first came out, I heard it through Rush Limbaugh. That's how many years ago? Republicans in name only. And it was pretty clear at that time that a Rhino was somebody who voted and took on the policies of the Democratic Party. Pretty simple. The Republican platform is very knowable. It's published. But if you had, especially in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, guys that were voting along with the Democrats all the time and obstructing Republican nominees and budgets, then we called them rhinos. Today, that word is used for everything. Yep. If you don't agree with me, it's not a racist, so that used to be the thing to end any kind of an argument would be, you're a racist. Mm-hmm. Game over. Well, now all you have to do is say somebody is a rhino. I think that rhino now, it doesn't mean what it used to mean. They've overused it so much. I would call those of you inside the KCRCC right now who are claiming that you're such staunch conservatives but behaving like little tyrants, you guys are actually rhinos. You know better, but you continue to take these actions anyway. So basically, I challenged Jeff, and it got to the point where I said, fine, I'm going to make a public statement on X as to why the KCRCC and their rated and vetted candidate is such a bad idea. So I released on X a video of what was at that time a current rated and vetted candidate. Now, I'd been given a tip. It was sometime in April. This has been put into question lately. And I sat on this information. I was told by somebody that I trust that, hey, you may want to request police reports and go through them because there might be somebody that is a current rated and vetted candidate that might have had some interesting interactions with law enforcement. Didn't tell me any more than that. I myself had to go and get the report, which I legally obtained. You can too. You could do it in 2 minutes. I went through the entire 160 pages. I found a name that all of a sudden stood out to me. I read through that police report that was unredacted. I then went and requested body cam footage, and I listened to the individual, in his own words, talk about things that are actually quite troubling. So that's kind of how that began. I know that there are those that were extremely upset. So we decided to go ahead and play that video. And we did last week, and the video came out. We played what last week's episode was about an hour and a half long. Right after that, we started getting a lot of very, very angry people that should not be angry.
Well, the response was interesting because the negativity didn't happen while we were live. People understood as they were watching and listening to it unfold. They seemed to be able to decide for themselves, the person being questioned, what part of it was truthful versus not. And they were fully capable of coming to their own conclusions. We'll put it that way. That lashback didn't really happen until after the episode aired, and there were some replays of that. What that seems to speak to me is it's almost like people were sent. Mm-hmm. Here's what's happening over there on Liberty Without Compromise. We are sending you to go create the dissension and give some kind of alternative voice, which was extremely, the comments were, the excuses, I guess, being made were just so illogical. We have two videos that I originally posted on X. Now, if you want to see the entire video in context, you can go back to episode 22 of the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast and take a look for yourself. You can see it in its entirety. But right now, we're going to go ahead and play two videos back to back so you get a little bit of frame of reference for those of you that maybe weren't part of the conversation to begin with, so we can give everybody a common platform for the remaining conversation tonight.
Oh, okay.
All right. Do you have your license with you?
Yeah.
Can I get your insurance registration? Where are you coming from today?
Oh, I'm just coming from town. Just Safeway.
Safeway? How about the massage parlor?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh. How long were you in there?
An hour.
Okay. You know how I know that?
No.
Because we're watching that place.
Oh.
So. I'm not too awful concerned about the traffic violation. What I'm trying to do is get more information about the massage parlor, because I know what goes on at those places.
Yeah. I actually reported it.
Had you?
Yeah.
Then why are you going back in there?
Well, whoever's there now I just get in so much pain. I mean, I just literally, like, I go to the chiropractor 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I just get in so much pain that I've just got to get a massage. It's that bad. I mean, literally, my neck, my sacrum, my iliums, everything. Okay. But
you reported this?
I've reported it twice.
To whom?
The Coeur d'Alene police.
So if I was to run your information on my computer, I'll be able to see that you reported what?
I actually met with people at my restaurant. I have Angelo's restaurant.
Yeah, I know.
I met with them, and I told them what was going on over there, because I went over there.
What's going on there?
What's going on over there, where I just went there, that's not going on.
Oh, it is.
Well,
that's why we're sitting
on
on
with
it.
Me.
Okay.
But they actually ask you, can I massage this?
Massage what?
That.
Penis?
Yeah.
So to
they even
manipulate
try to
you,
touch it
sexual contact, whatever you may want to call it? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not just sitting on these places because we pick them out of our hat. It's because we know things are going on there. And how this works is because I have to type up a report on every one of these. Mm-hmm. And I'll list you in the report either as a witness or a suspect. And we're doing that with everybody so we can have a track record of what's going on there and what people are telling us. I know, because you're not the first person who stopped out of there today, that things are being offered on every single one of these. So if it's not oral, saying, do you want this? There's hand gestures. Yeah. And I know that happened with yours because they're not just going to skip one person.
They didn't. I've been there, so they have some different people in there.
Now?
And yeah.
Since when?
Probably like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or a month.
Okay.
But that place up there, I don't go there anymore. They do it to me.
Which place up where?
On 95. They did it like 3 times. They were like 3 times they tried to touch me and ask me and money and everything. Same place at my restaurant. I have Angelo's restaurant.
Oh, I know. They park at your restaurant right across the street.
Well, I've been in there, and I don't go in there anymore because they do the same thing. Yep. They touch me, and They ask for money, and then that place actually where I went, they've done that before, but I don't do it.
You don't partake?
No, I don't.
Okay.
That's not what I'm there for.
Okay. What other establishments have you?
Well, I went to the one in Post Falls. They do the same thing. They're terrible. They do it like 2 or 3 times. It's like they're upset you don't, want to do that.
So the next video is only about a minute long. We're going to play that one next, and then we're going to talk about part 2 of what got everybody so upset. Don't shoot the messenger, bro.
What they usually do is they touch your penis, and they
At the other establishments?
yeah,
Okay.
every single one. They do it 2 or 3 times, and they almost get upset that you're not.
I've heard that.
And it's like,
The 2 gals that were in here, there's 2 of them, right? How old do you think they are?
well,
If you had to guess.
there was a young gal in there. She's the receptionist. She
Okay.
doesn't give massages. She looks really young. I mean, she looks like she's like 14 or something.
She looks 14.
Then the other
Okay.
one's probably 20-ish, 20s. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not doing it for that part. I know it sounds funny, but fishy, but I'm not.
Okay. And here.
So those are just 2 of the clips that I posted on X prior to the May 20 election. And I basically called out the KCRCC and said, hey, this right here exemplifies why you guys as a body should not be endorsing, rating, vetting, whatever you want to call it, any candidates. It's just plain ridiculous. We're going to go much deeper into just how bad this really is. At the time that I played this last week, the entire 13 minutes, at the conclusion, this individual who was running for Greens Ferry Water and Sewer District, Angelo Brunson, you heard him on that video state that he owns Angelo's Bistro. This is somebody that the KCRCC was warned about having potentially bad judgment, somebody that they should distance themselves from. It is my understanding that this was brought before the KCRCC board to unendorse this individual. They had already put out a publication listing him as one of the candidates that they rated and vetted. And of course, the mailer that went out to all the voters in Kootenai County, or however many it goes out to, thousands. And they chose to continue to keep him as an endorsed candidate. This is supposed to be the party, the ones that hold all their events in churches, those that are devout, those that want to rail against pride in the park, which I'm not for. I think everybody needs to keep their damn sexuality to themselves. You don't need a month to have some special recognition because you're gay. I don't give 2 craps. I don't care. You don't need any special extra day. That's personal opinion. But the same group that rails about the library board, in fact, we're going to talk about this because 2 of the rating and vetting committee members, when I was going through the process, that were relentless in their attacks, continually brought up the school and porn in the library. Mm-hmm. Family Values Group. Remember that, folks. Family Values, KCRCC were given the opportunity. They knew that this report was out there. They knew of Angelo Brunson's involvement. He hasn't committed a crime, never been charged with a crime that I'm made aware of. But you hear him in his own words speaking about getting touched over and over and over again. So we were told, hey, you don't know the whole story. Now, Angelo and a bunch of people reached out to us the days after and wanted to keep fighting all the time. You guys are defaming us and you're causing us all sorts of harm. And I mean, I told, I don't know how many people, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not taking it down what we put up there. It's in his own words, but somehow I was made out to be this extremely mean, heinous, vengeful guy. Nobody wants to take responsibility. The problem with a lot of you Republicans, none of you ever take responsibility for anything. Have any of you ever seen the KCRCC or anybody that claims to be a Republican making a bad decision ever going back and correcting it? No, they don't. Mm-hmm. They just don't. So
well, even given this opportunity to be able to correct something, instead of doing that, they sent their minions to come say that you targeted this guy.
Yeah, we're going to go into that. So you heard him say it. I reported this place. He says they touched him over here.
Which is curious.
3 times. I went over here. They touched me. And so look, as of last week's episode, I still had not received my records request from Coeur d'Alene Police Department to see how many times Mr. Brunson had contacted law enforcement to report this. I've got a slide because we're going to see in Mr. Brunson's own words and that of the Coeur d'Alene Police Department exactly what was reported when and patterns of behavior after that.
Okay.
So if we go to slide 1, first page, what you should be seeing is a Coeur d'Alene Police Department incident report ending in 2319 or 6. It was reported June 15th, 2020. Well, what happened in 2020? That was the year of the pandemic. So Angelo reports to Coeur d'Alene Police. We're showing you guys the entire police report, lest anybody claim that I'm taking things out of context, and you know who you are. Those of you that want to debate me online, and then every time I start talking about the meat and potatoes, you quickly squirrel and run off and start deflecting and changing the subject at hand. Case summary from Officer Dunham, K28. Angelo Brunson went into Oriental Massage to receive a massage. During the course of the massage, he was propositioned for sexual activities. Quick narrative, Angelo went into the massage business at 4055 North Government Way. That's not too far from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. On 6/13/2020 to receive a massage. He has a business he normally frequents for this service, but due to the recent events, I'm guessing that's COVID, he has to go through the masseuse, or he has to go through elsewhere. He paid $60 for a 1-hour massage. While receiving the massage, the masseuse began massaging private areas normally not associated with a massage. At the 20-minute mark of the massage, the masseuse was propositioning for sexual related activities. Angelo declined and left. Good for him. Mm-hmm. Got up and left. There was a little more follow-up by some detectives later on. In July, about a month later, ongoing investigation, statute of limitations has expired. Final note in the supplemental report by Detective Nordman. I have read and reviewed this case. I'm in contact with an agent from HSI, and we are investigating several massage parlors within the city or within CDA. This is an open, ongoing investigation. Okay, so he reported it back in 2020. That, by my math, is 5 years ago.
Yeah, he did. And that I'm glad that we were able to look into that, because that's one of those questions of, okay, first, let's verify whether or not that statement was true.
So 5 years ago, he says that his regular massage wasn't open. So he went to this place and they touched him. Now, let's go ahead. There was a little bit of investigation. Again, we can provide these, I guess, if somebody really wants them, or you can, conduct your own records request. Basically, it's just some CAD notes from enforcement that contacted some other individual, but no arrests were made. Nothing more took place. Now, going back to last year, June 18th, 2024. There was another contact by Angelo on June 18th of 2024. Now, I want you to remember this date. Bookmark this. June 18th, 2024. Angelo calls. It looks like to me, from what I'm reading out of the CAD notes, that he called and left a voicemail for the Coeur d'Alene Police. That's wrong. Somebody finds different. I would love to correct the record, but for now, it looks like that he called and left a message at dispatch or on the messaging service for law enforcement there. Massage parlors doing prostitution, thinks 5 of them are all involved. June 18th, 2024, that was almost a year ago. He calls up, wants to report that he believes massage parlors are participating in prostitution. He thinks 5 of them. So, by the way, those of you who have been calling me the judge, jury, and executioner because I had the audacity to post that video that I was harming an innocent man, I want you to pay damn well good attention to what I just told you. This is not my writing. This is Coeur d'Alene Police Report. June 18th, 2024. He thinks 5 locations are all participating in prostitution. Now, we know that the Coeur d'Alene Press, in the article that I referenced from February of this year, when Coeur d'Alene police recommended charges to the Coeur d'Alene prosecuting attorney to try to shut these 5 different businesses down for human trafficking. Prosecutor didn't think there was enough evidence there and declined to prosecute, but the city of Coeur d'Alene went back and was able to revoke the 5 business licenses. Interesting that Angelo happens to know the exact number that the Coeur d'Alene police were investigating. Five. He talks about in that video, those clips that we showed you. He goes to this one and they touched him 3 times. He went to this one and they touched him several times. And he declines it every single time, but he admits to it. Now, in 2020, he reported it and said, hey, the one up on Government Way, you know, the one with the covered windows? Something bad was going on in there, but yet I'm going to go to the other ones. Now, when he was contacted by law enforcement in those videos, what was the date? It was 2 months after this last report where he named believing 5 of these locations were involved in prostitution. He is contacted by Coeur d'Alene police. He's on the record saying that they've touched his genitals at numerous locations, numerous times. He hasn't committed a crime that I'm aware of. He hasn't been charged with anything, but this is the caliber of the individual. Now, he goes on, and you can find this on last week's full-length episode. They had to go to confession. He admits to the police officer that, you know, he shouldn't be going to these establishments. Now, I'm paraphrasing, so it's not a direct quote, but he knew that he shouldn't be going there and needed to go to confession. But how dare Dan Wilson bring this up? Now, again, who cares? When I first sat on this, I didn't think there was really any profit to it until Jeff Tyler and I got into this spat where he just is a diehard believer, having really been the father of this rating and vetting committee, the idea for the KCRCC. And he believes so highly in it. And I absolutely do not believe in it. I've already talked about this last week. We're rehashing many of those same topics. But I did pull these reports because it was said last week, and those that came after me, like Casey and others, that said, hey, he reported this. Well, so what? You reported it 5 years apart, and you're still going there. In fact, you reported it 2 months before you get caught coming out of there. And then you run your mouth saying everything that you said. This is the kind of candidate that the KCRCC had the opportunity. It's a low-level position, and they chose to continue to support him. Now, we're going to find out exactly how bad this is and why the KCRCC must stop all rating and vetting for candidates and leave it to third parties. We're going to show you Angelo Brunson. This came straight out. In fact, I pulled this again tonight off of the KCRCC website.
So it's still there.
So it's still there.
Okay.
Angelo Brunson running for Green Ferry Water Sewer District Seat 1. He is a recommended candidate. Some of the interesting things that he says when he was able to talk about his candidacy. I thought this one was probably the most profound one that he could have stated. Besides the fact that we're paying all of our money to the Bank of England, all of our IRS money apparently goes to the Bank of England. I didn't know that. That would explain as to why I've lost so much value.
Yeah.
But he says for the CLN, that's the Library Network, sexually explicit books will destroy civilization and parental rights all the way.
Okay.
Wow.
What office was he?
He's running for sewer board.
Just checking.
Water and sewer.
Okay.
He's an endorsed, rated, and vetted candidate for this Greens Ferry Sewer and Water District.
Yeah.
But he wants us to know, because he made a point to put it out. Sexually explicit books will destroy civilization and parental rights all the way. So one would think that he is for pure living.
Okay.
Now, The Inlander is not necessarily one of my most favorite publications. In fact, for many intents and purposes, it's a liberal rag based out of Spokane, Washington. I've read many reports from it over the years that made me scratch my head. They're definitely not right-leaning. May 1st of 2025, so this is just a couple weeks ago. Nonpartisan and historically quiet races in Idaho's May election are contested this year. It's important you hear this stuff, folks. You got to hear this if you're not going to read it. I'm going to read it for you. This article says, for the first time in its half-century existence, a spot on the Greens Ferry Water and Sewer District Board of Directors in North Idaho is a contested race this election. Okay, they're saying in 50 years. 15 small water districts in Kootenai County, just like school districts. They have a school board. Water districts must have an elected board overseeing and guiding their actions. 3 districts have board seats on the May ballot. Now, the Greens Ferry Sewer District has 2 wells and serves about 1,000 people south of Post Falls and the Spokane River. Though the Greens Ferry District was created in 1975, there has never been a contested election to fill a spot on its board until now. So it's always been somebody has, I guess, run unopposed. Because, this is a pretty prestigious... the KCRCC had to have this position, man. Mm-hmm. Between May 5, when early voting begins.
Seems like they're working their way into taking over every single elected position, no matter what it is, taking it over.
Between May 5, when early voting begins, the May 20 election, voters in the Greens Ferry District will choose between incumbent board member Carol Razier and Angelo Brunson, the owner of Angelo's Restaurante. I'm going to go down, and again, if you guys want to see this, go to the Inlander, type in Brunson, it'll come up for you there. It's very easy. Razier, who is the incumbent, currently the board's chair, first joined the board 9 years ago when it was in a bad position, she says. They had a moratorium on adding any additional users because our system was so antiquated. They couldn't bring anybody else on. She goes on to talk about the great things that they're doing. Razier says that if she's reelected, she hopes to continue the work so the water district can keep up with the explosive population growth that North Idaho has seen in recent years. Okay. So she's been there for 9 years, has never run opposed. She's got a pretty good idea. She's working to bring these 30-year-old pumps up online and make certain that the constituents are taken care of. Brunson has no experience. This is him now. Brunson has no experience with the water district, and this is his first time running for an elected position. Now, pay attention, folks. Pay very, very close attention. Pull your pens and pads out and paper.
And take your notes.
All of it.
Get
Construction
ready for your
paper. Crayons for some of you KCRCC folks. He says somebody with the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee or the KCRCC asked if he would run for the position, so he obliged. So restaurant guys, somebody comes up and says, you know what? Hey, psst, we got to make certain that we take over the Greens Ferry Water and Sewer District.
You know what it reminds me of? The claw game. Like I'm begging you for quarters. And like, I got to play the claw.
Yeah.
And you get in there and you're aiming for something. But I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to lose that quarter. So whatever you can grab that's going to get into the chute, whatever I can grab, the claw.
So somebody just asks him, hey, you ought to run because, you've run a restaurant. You should know how to run water and sewer, right? He goes on to say, I'm doing it for civic duties and, accountability. He says, I know some of my neighbors have been on the board, so I know it's kind of hard with the restaurant and catering company to do something like that. But I think it's pretty low on the totem pole as far as what you have to put into it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the candidate saying basically, it's not really needed.
Nobody read his rough draft.
He says his experience running a restaurant has shown him how to be accountable in a way that the district's voters deserve. We asked Brunson what his goals are for the water district if he's elected, but he says he doesn't have any yet.
He'll figure that out as he goes.
We'll see how it goes with getting up to speed on what I need to get up on. He says, sometimes it takes a little while, believe it or not, to figure out what's going on with everything. Primarily, I was just doing it because the KCRC asked, and I'm part of the neighborhood. The KCRCC endorsed Brunson for the nonpartisan position, though the party asked him to run. Even Brunson says, pay attention, he's not sure why he was endorsed over the incumbent. The person I'm running against knows so much more than I do. She's so much more qualified, he says. Can't make this stuff up, folks. John Austin, Green Ferry District Manager, says he doesn't know why the KCRCC chose to endorse candidates in a nonpartisan race, especially when he feels that the current directors have been making a lot of progress. I'm not sure why the Republican Central Committee is supporting challengers over the incumbents, who I believe have done a really good job over the years. Austin says, I'm not sure why the Republican Committee is supporting the challengers over the incumbents. I've been involved with the district here for 22 years, so I've seen the district grow from a couple hundred water hookups to almost 400, and along the way, we upgraded our 50-year-old infrastructure because of the board. Here's Mr. Dear Leader himself, chairman of the KCRCC, Mensa member, and Idaho Freedom Foundation chairman, Brent Reagan. He says Razier was invited but did not participate in the party's recommended process. So Brunson's incumbent challenger didn't respond. To get the party's recommendation, candidates need to receive more than half the votes of the committee members at that meeting, while those who don't participate are still considered. If we don't have a lot of information on them, it's difficult for people to make a decision about them, Reagan says. Wow, Reagan. Yeah, you are such a sage. I cannot believe that you walk among mere mortals. There's really no such thing as a nonpartisan race, Reagan says. Razier is concerned about her opponent's lack of experience. We're really worried about this election because of what's going to happen going forward on our district. I haven't got a clue on how to win this. I don't. I just always have been on the board and worked towards those goals that we set. So it's very, very new for me. So those of you that came on last week to call me every kind of name in the book, to say that I have a vendetta against the KCRCC, who am I going to target next? I'm the judge, jury, and executioner. You guys are all pathetic. Absolute pathetic. I know some of you were running your mouths when I challenged you. You chose to not respond. Those of you that I've known for a very long time cussing me out. Is this how you treat friends? You show me one more time where I'm in error. In fact, I challenge you, come on this show, have it out with me. We'll give you a link. If you want to come in and debate where Dan Wilson was wrong by playing legally obtained video footage of a candidate for a water district where he claims he didn't even know what he was doing, why he's even there, he's not even qualified, talking about frequenting places that the Coeur d'Alene police continually said many times over were places where human trafficking was occurring. Young women were observed there by numerous Johns. I guess maybe John's not the correct word, but patrons. Okay, so what? I don't give a damn whether or not you agree with me or not. Some of you, and you know who you are, you like to argue just for argument's sake, and I'm not going to engage you anymore because there's nothing productive about it. You're intellectually dishonest. But how dare you come out and support this individual over the combined abhorrence towards what is taking place in our own communities, where Coeur d'Alene Police is attempting to get a handle on it. We have a sheriff that claims no human trafficking is taking place in Kootenai County. And yet those of you that come out and defend this guy that was running for public office, that the KCRCC had this information that I have, and they all chose to continue for a low-level elected position to support this guy who 2 weeks before the police contact admitted and called in a report. Hey, these places, there's 5 of them. I think that they're involved in prostitution, but I'm still going to them. How dare you, you freaking hypocrites? I challenge any of you. You want to come on my show and you want to debate where I did a great disservice and defamed anybody, drop a line. We'll set you up. I will put you on and we'll go toe to toe and we'll see exactly the logic of those that would defend and stand up for somebody who at best has extremely poor discernment and at worst is helping to fund things that the rest of us as a community say should not be happening. And I was disgusted by some that claim that they're truth seekers. They ask for records requests all the time. They do hidden videos, hidden recordings to catch corruption. And yet, why the loyalty? Now, I'm going to pose a question out there. I want to ask, is some of the support because Angelo is Catholic and it's the Catholic troops rallying around? Could that be? And if that's the case, please tell me why. I want to know. Those that would defend this guy from the very things that he said he was participating in, that he was doing of his own free will, tell me, why? We should have all come out collectively as an entire community to condemn it. And shame on the KCRCC. Jeff, you're never going to convince me that this rating and vetting is something that you should be involved with. This right here is ground zero as to why you guys have no business rating and vetting anybody. It says right on your KCRCC voter pamphlet, rated and vetted. Recommended candidates. You've got that stamp of approval. Let me ask you, Jeff, do you approve of Angela Brunson as a representative? I want Jeff to come on and to defend why the KCRCC should have continued to publicly recommend this bonehead versus just saying, you know what, too controversial. We are going to back the hell out of this. Tell me, Jeff, why? Tell me, Nina. Tell me, Brent. Tell me, Luke. Tell me, Bjorn. Tell me. And if you want to support a man over the innocent, then we cannot be friends. This is a non-negotiable with me whatsoever. I didn't spend a year on the campaign trail stating that I would root out to every ounce of my ability to root out all forms of human trafficking out of this community. You don't think that all of a sudden I've forgotten that, do you? That was just a campaign promise. Now, maybe some of you politicians out there who are used to saying the buzzwords, you know, make people all warm and fuzzy and rally behind you so they can vote for you. And then 6 months later, do nothing. But how dare you? We cannot be friends, and I will never be friends with somebody that will not stand up for the innocent. Now, Angelo has repeatedly insinuated that we are ruining his life. Insinuating that legal action is going to take place. Mm-hmm. Never said that he's committed a crime. I've used his own words for the people to see.
The other thing that this event exposes, so you got two simultaneous things happening because you have the KCRCC with their rating and vetting that they do, and we had the election May 20th, and then this event with exposing body cam footage involving one of their rated and vetted candidates for water district. But the other thing that this exposes, because of what was read in Brunson's statements about, what business did he have running for that position, and he didn't really know. I mean, he admitted he didn't know.
This is
Somebody
proof as to how inept they are.
So my question is, when is the last time, or has it ever happened, that there's a candidate who is, when I say independent, I mean, you decide you want to run for office, and that may be as a Republican, but not with anybody else putting you forward, but you feel compelled to do it. When is the last time there's been an individual like that run for any office that has not been handpicked by the KCRCC?
Mm-hmm.
They're handpicking them and then saying, now we're going to rate and vet you.
Mm-hmm.
And see, we've got that alternate look where you're a guy that did step into the race, not backed by any of that, but being compelled to run for that office. And sure, you could go through their rating and vetting process because you were running as a Republican, but they already have their handpicked individuals. And if you're not that, it comes off as it's a blatant joke on everybody in Kootenai County, every Republican. It's the joke is on you.
And they're a powerhouse because they, by their collective, sending out that multi-tens of thousands of dollars worth of recommendations to the voters. A single candidate is not going to be able to compete with that. And when they do this, they are choosing. I don't care what you say. I will argue with you all day long as to how the KCRCC and a select few are choosing who they're not even representatives, because they're not choosing the representatives.
That's what I'm saying.
And I look at this and they say, well, there's like over 70 PCs that all get to vote. But here's the way this mob mentality works. You get your select group that does the rating and vetting, which I had 2 members, if not 3, that were actively sabotaging my campaign while they were on the rating and vetting committee. You have these people that are claiming that they're the ones that choose based off of the recommendation of the board, but it's still 70 plus voters that are making the decision. And we know that what's happening is these 70 people are just taking the recommendation of the select few. Yes. So you might as well just take that small select few and get them to vote on it. But I mean, we've got a recording of my rating and vetting.
But before that, I mean, the point is they're not going to endorse anybody that they didn't already handpick to rate and vet. That's exactly. that like in the simplest of terms, that is what you're up against here in Kootenai County. A normal guy, a normal girl can't wake up one day with the best of intentions and compelled to do so and run for office. You were not handpicked by them. You can go through the motions and go through the rating and vetting, but we're kidding ourselves to think that, like you just explained, that, well, all of these people have a say. It doesn't work that way.
Jeff, they are not conservatives. Many of these people that you guys claim are these great torchbearers of freedom and liberty, they're not. Because you guys will not go into the deep details and hold these people accountable like Phil Hart. Again, until somebody shows me otherwise that Phil Hart ever paid his debt back for timber that he took that was not his, which nobody to date in many months has been able to show me. You guys are promoting people that should not be promoted.
I want to get back. We've extended our hour, so I want to get toward wrapping this up. But I want you to finish what you were saying. You went through that rating and vetting process. You, of course, were not handpicked by any members of the KCRCC. In fact, you had messengers sent to you to tell you not to run.
Brenda Grassel.
How dare you?
Brenda Grassel came to me. It was a friend of mine from politics over in Spokane. She came to me. I'd already filed with the Secretary of State. We actually met with her and told her about my candidacy. I thought that she would be a supporter.
Thought she'd be excited for you.
She came to me sometime before the November election. This is prior to me publicly announcing in 2023. And she told me that Rob Behrens had told her to come to me and say, we don't need a sheriff to replace Bob. Bob's a great guy.
Supposedly, Rob Behrens didn't even know who you were. No names were mentioned.
Yeah.
They just said that an anonymous somebody is planning on running.
This
and
is what Brenda
challenging Bob
Grassel told
Norris.
me.
That's what she told you.
Brenda Grassel told me this. Brenda then said, that they thought that I should move to Shoshone and run for sheriff over there. So when I went through my rating and vetting, I turned in the survey. We've already shown that. You guys should go again to see that KCRCC is not legit when they are choosing who the most conservative Republican is.
The side by side.
If you look at my...
It's horrible.
My answers compared to Bob. Bob knows he's elementary level when it comes to the Constitution, which of all your candidates for office, your sheriff had better be the most solid when it comes to the Constitution, Bill of Rights. But we went to the final rating and vetting. Many of the committee members are good people, including Jeff Tyler, super good guy. I love Jeff. Even though I'm at odds with Jeff, I would do anything for Jeff. But you have Nina Beasley. And Nina Beasley we've got her on video, multiple events, coming after me over the library issue. Apparently she didn't have an issue with Angelo, but because it's not about the books.
I mean,
apparently
she may.
But she was in that vetting meeting, and instead of asking questions, because they don't apparently have any set questions they ask the candidates, they just let the committee ask whatever. And we have her on tape, on video. We have her attacking me. Instead of asking questions, she went on the offense on me.
We have our facts and evidence.
We have our facts
and
evidence.
I think our friends here in Kootenai County, you will be appalled at what you hear. You will be appalled at the faith and confidence that you placed in this vetting committee process, such as it is now. I don't have the ability to go back historically. It may be that it has just fallen far afield from where it began, and intentions were good in the beginning. But like a lot of things, it's dissolved. It's dissolved probably into a shadow of what it formerly was because of the control of the leadership. And it's appalling what you'll hear. So we have our facts and evidence. It's something that we've alluded to a couple of times. But you've got committee members who aren't qualified to be asking questions. I mean, I would say, how are they qualified for any of these elected offices? What is their expertise to be asking the questions that they do? And then they're making decisions based on those, what are really fractured and very limited questions. And then in our experience,
it's prejudicial,
very prejudicial. The highest elected office in the county. And what I heard were, like you said, prejudicial and very elementary questions coming out of that group.
Yeah, not all of them. There were some that asked really good questions.
Some were good, but some were directional.
But let's talk about Brent Reagan. So I've already told this story. The very first time that I officially met Brent Reagan, I was speaking early on in the campaign when I was bushwhacked at the pachyderms. Brent walked right past me. He knew that I was the speaker at the event. I had to get up and go over and introduce myself to him. He couldn't be bothered. I mean, it was like he couldn't even be bothered to give me the time of day. We've all been there. We know. Fast forward to a couple weeks later.
You weren't handpicked.
Yeah, couple weeks later, as I was walking into the vetting committee, he was there for the candidate that was being interviewed just before me for some other elected position, and he walks out of ours. Has some excuse, we'll have to go. Same thing, Pastor Tim Remington didn't show. So, I mean, we didn't get the full coverage. And I would say if it's happening to me, any other independent-minded, true conservative that isn't going to kowtow to the KCRCC rhetoric and what they deem to be the truth, because they just want to control everybody in the same narrative from what I see, nobody has a chance. And the KCRCC, Jeff, all due respect, this majority that you claim that you're trying to keep, you deserve to lose, because these aren't people that should be representing us anyway.
Last really good question, and then we got to get ourselves out of here. But Susie over on Facebook, so she's hearing all this, and she says, "Okay, Dan, the question is, how do we stop them from doing this?"
Well, I mean, one of the hard, it's a hard way all the way around. You have to start getting the PCs, that's your local representatives from your own neighborhood, to step up to the line and start calling out this crap as it's taking place and having a backbone and not being afraid to stand out away from the group. You've got to have people that are willing to say Brent Reagan and his boy. I mean, I heard that there was a 4-hour meeting last night and there's a bunch of bloviating because the committee just probably without due process, I don't know, ejected 2 members from 2 PCs from the KCRCC, and there's this big long fight.
This was last night.
Yeah, I heard that it was a nightmare, that it went on and on forever, and Brent was pontificating and allowing the night to drag on and was killing people with procedures.
He's not a voting member though.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to do it that way, or look, public shame. The more people understand what's going on, when you don't have a single person from the KCRCC old school. Now, North Idaho Republicans are different. North Idaho Republicans like Mark Stewart. Let me tell you one more time how messed up this is. After that debacle of a town hall where we now have security guards that have been charged with various crimes and another bystander, we have a potential civil rights. It's a $5 million tort claim against Bob Norris, the county, the KCRCC. Nobody from that group, except for guys like Mark Stewart. When I say nobody from that group, let me restate that. Very few. Mark Stewart came on this very program hours after that February 22nd town hall. All he did was told us what took place. Factual. As an eyewitness. I've known Mark for several months. We had Quincy Franklin, the BC preacher, that was there. And what was Mark rewarded from this, extremely conservative, liberty-minded KCRCC? He was removed from his committee. You're a bunch of tyrants at the KCRCC. The North Idaho Republicans have made a dent, the 30. We need to make a lot more dents, because the behavior that I see of the people that call themselves conservative, pathetic. And I really don't give I don't give a crap whether or not you like me, are going to support me. I don't care, because I'm going to keep coming at all of you with the truth over and over and over and over. And I will not be silenced, because you guys claiming that you are the great holders of the faith in the line are so full of yourself, so full of ego and unchecked, accountable to nobody, that you are damaging the very liberty that you claim that you stand for. And it's the same thing with the churches. Now, I want to finish this week with a saying by one of our founders. This one comes from one of my favorites, Benjamin Rush. We're going to pull that slide up here. Benjamin Rush had this to say, and I think we should all adhere to it, contemplate on it. Temperate, sincere, and intelligent inquiry and discussion are only to be dreaded by the advocates of error. The truth need not fear them. Simply put, if you at the KCRCC right now in leadership, you PCs, those of you that are going to the pachyderms and the Reagan Republicans and whatever, the John Birchers, if you guys are so convinced of how great and high speed you are for the cause of liberty, but refuse to allow other people with dissenting voices in the public square to voice their beliefs, and for you to be able to have that great debate in public, you guys are frauds. Circle the wagons to protect yourself. You're in an echo chamber, and you do not espouse the spirit of liberty. And you deserve every bit of fallout that you bring heaping on our heads. You want to get rid of this, you got to get rid of Brent Reagan. New leadership needs to be put into the KCRCC. You got to quit supporting knuckleheads like who we've been talking about. While not committing crime, he admits to doing some pretty stupid stuff, and he admits to not even understanding and why he was
put up to run.
Yeah. While he's qualified. So remember, stay strong and of good courage, because we did not descend from fearful men. We descend from men who understood the severity. They were learned in the philosophers of old. They understood human nature. When it came down to it, in that struggle, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. We're going to do the same. We need to talk about Stella Stogies.
That's right. I'm going to put this up on the screen here. I'm going to add this. Dan took a walk through Stella today because he's got a favorite soap. And what is that favorite scent that you have? Only available at Stella Soaps on Main Street in
I'm gonna go smoke one of their cigars tonight.
Yeah, they always keep us in stock of the good stuff there. So thank you to Stella Stogies.
Hey, remember to keep praying for Jim, who's going through one hell of a battle right now. Also pray for Ron and his recovery. What else?
I was just going to remind you that even though we're here toward the end of the program, you can still share it to your page or profile because it's available for replay there on Facebook for 30 days from the time of the broadcast. So if you like what you heard here tonight, or maybe you disliked it and you want to get into some healthy debate with people there on your profile, go ahead and share the broadcast because it's still available for replay. And then remember to always join us live Wednesday nights at 7 p.m.
Casey Whalen, you want to come on and debate me over this Angelo thing? Let me know. We'll be more than happy to send you a link. You can come on and justify why you're calling me the effing judge, jury, and executioner. We'll see if you've got the resolve like you say you do to argue.
Yeah. And speaking of debates, they've been pretty much shut down in this county. Yeah,
Bob Norris refused. The KCRCC was so afraid of having Bob debate me publicly, they never push the issue. They don't believe in liberty like they say. Tonight we've gone off on the KCRCC, and rightly so. And we'll do it again.
You got a vendetta, Wilson. Come on.
Yeah, it's called a vendetta for truth and justice.
So we're here to debate you in the public square in the most respectful way. Let your voice be heard if you have a differing opinion. Wilson, he's here to talk that through with you. Force you to see it through and stay on course. We want those debates. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. Remember to go to our website to watch past episodes. You can also view exclusive reports and articles by contributing authors there on our website, libertywithoutcompromise.com. And for our podcast, you got some specials in there, 1 through 9, audio only you need to listen to. And if you like this live stream as a podcast version, listen while you drive. You can do that, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. And with that, we'll see you next week.
God bless.